All right, so welcome, Katie,
Hi,
to
Donald.
this session. You were saying you had a little bit of disappointment to deal with
Yes.
around, around a job application being refused. But any comments on that? Is it's always the expectation that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought,
An
who knows if
expectation.
that's, yes, right.
So you had an expectation, then the expectation is not met, and then mentally and emotionally you feel disappointed, you feel sad, and fear can come up, anxiety about your future, and so on. But it's purely based on your expectation. And so this is what the Buddha noticed. He said, "Don't expect, don't desire something other than what it is." So then you'd say, well, how do you deal with that then? Because it's like, surely I should have some expectation. Otherwise, why would I put in the application? So these are the subtleties. But I believe you can put something in because it feels right to do, and then you can totally let it go. And you can just say, okay, well, the outcome is not up to me. I totally let go of the outcome. So I'm really just doing whatever I feel called to do in the moment, and then I let it go. So I
But
don't have any past or future consciousness in that. It's like, right, I did what I felt right was right then, and then I let it go. I've done, put in the application. I've done what I need to do, and then I let it go. And whatever the outcome is, then okay, that's the outcome.
yeah,
And so no
expectation.
expectation then means you can't be disappointed. So okay, well, the outcome was, they didn't. The fact is they didn't accept it. Right now, you can take that fact and you can spin that into an emotional story if you want. Well, they didn't take me, or they rejected me. Well, was I not good enough? Oh, what's that going to mean? Can I get a job? Am I going to be okay in the future? And you can spin a whole story, or you can just go, well, the fact is that, and that's it. Full stop, end of. I don't have to interpret it. I don't have to judge it. I don't have to create a story about it. I can just see it exactly as it is. And then there's no, because it's interpretation of it. That's the problem. See, when you interpret these things, then you make them into a problem, and then you create the suffering. So just don't interpret it in that way. The Holy Spirit would simply say, well, okay, that experience is over now. And in fact, it never in truth really happened, because you are in a dream. You're still one with God. You're still loved by God. Nothing's really changed. So why are you feeling disappointed?
Yeah, I also
There's
thought
no
about
reason.
what helped me was this situation is now a specific one because it's about this specific dream character, Katie. And I remembered I want to have a piece which is not depending on circumstances, so the inner peace.
Hmm.
And I thought about, so there must be a piece which is available for everyone, for the people who are on the street, for my father who's dreaming that he needs money, like he's addicted. And for me, like, and yeah, and then I thought, so yeah, it's the peace which comes from God, and knowing that I'm not here.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So that's the correction,
Oh.
which it sounds like you've been doing. So then it's another forgiveness lesson of this world, and an opportunity to connect more deeply with
Yeah,
your thoughts.
and then everyone becomes my savior, because when I see, and that I read yesterday in the manual for teachers, I think it's in the how's it called, the introduction, that a teacher of God become someone who's looking for the same interests with someone else, become the teacher of
Yeah.
God, because he's not looking only for his interest. And I thought, I love it when I read something in A Course in Miracles and then something occurs and then I remember it and then I see how it connects with what is happening. Oh, I love this experience. I'm just having it right now.
Yes.
So I thought that it's not, when I'm so making this job application and they decline, and I see, okay, my happiness comes from within, and the same, like for them, it comes from within. If they take me or not, the happiness comes from within. If I am with them or not, my happiness comes from within. And then I feel like, oh, this is about equality. It's about freedom. It's about joining. It's about abundance.
Yeah.
Not about expectation. Not about loss.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they become my savior and not my enemies.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's a good way of seeing it. Hi, John.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Hi, Jono. Yeah. Hi, Katie. Hi,
Hi,
Jono.
John.
Sue's here as well.
Okay. I see. Nice to see you again. So we're just doing a quick check-in. Anything to check in on?
I had an interesting experience the other day. I went to have a pre-assessment for a cataract operation, and
Okay.
the specialist said, "Well, I don't know. I wouldn't really recommend you have it yet."
Okay. Okay.
It's
Okay. So what arose then?
well, it kind of throws me into confusion a bit around. I mean, the reason I was thinking of having it was because at night time I get more glare than I ever used to on the country roads,
Right.
and it just kind of gets a little bit. It's a bit unnerving when I'm driving slightly, and I have got a bit of a cataract, but it's not a bad one.
Not serious. So just wait a bit and then sort it out in a year or two.
Yeah.
But
Just
these body issues, I mean, you've had quite a bit of that. So I guess it's just more of the same. To observe the so-called degradation of the body and then go, okay, can I be equanimous to that? Can I just really not let it make you misidentify with your body? That's really the key.
Yeah.
It wants you to go there and then, as you say, consume all your attention. Now all your attention is being placed on the body and the body's problems and fixing the body and and that's just a massive distraction.
Yeah.
Takes you out of the spirit into body identification, which of course is what the ego is always trying to do. So yes, you've just got to let go of any attachment to it. So, okay, it is what it is. The keyest thing is mental and emotional attachment. So do I have feelings about that that are in any way negative? Or can I just be, okay, well, yes, factually, I've got a cataract and I've been to see the doctor and the doctor says I can wait, so end of. And then you stop it there because you start creating a story about it. I was just talking to Katie because she had that job interview and she got an email saying that they didn't accept her application. So there's obviously a tendency to be disappointed, but then that's a story that you then create about that experience.
Yeah.
And that's the danger. Like, don't create the story. Just be like, that was what it was, right? You received an email in Katie's sense, received an email and the application was turned down. And then end off. You can put a full stop there and you can go, okay, that's it. I don't have to create a story about that. I can now, if the past is over, I can just move on and not create a story. And the same way you just go, okay, I went to see the doctor. He said the cataract is whatever. Okay, I can just end it there and leave it. I don't have to mentally and emotionally work that situation.
Yeah.
which is, it's skill, it's discipline. But when you notice those thoughts coming up, it's like, okay, yes, I'm aware. I know what the temptation is to go down that rabbit hole, but that those thoughts and emotions are not helpful. They're not of the spirit. So I won't. I will instead think of my lesson and use that to release it, and find that clean, pure awareness, pure formless awareness arising in my mind that is not bothered by any of that. So it's very simple. It's a very simple principle, but it's not easy.
No.
Because life puts these challenges all the time, and then the temptation, the ego, is to go into it, and then, oh no, but that's real. And of course, that's always what it's trying to do: make it real, make the unreal real.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else to share? Sue, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. With that lovely smile again. It's great. Come on here, and I get like smiles from Katie and smiles from you. John's even smiling.
I always
Yeah, you do actually. Katie's laughing.
can't see you.
You're laughing for that.
Katie.
What?
Can't see you. Oh, there you are.
There we go. Yeah.
I appeared. I make an appearance.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, so shall we have a look at the lesson today? I wanted to do the lesson and the 9th pathway to higher consciousness, and a meditation on the lesson. So we can do it in whichever order you want. Maybe we should do the lesson. It's actually quite short. Read it and then do a meditation on it, and then do the 9th pathway. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into screen sharing mode, and let's have a quick look at the quote. It's a lovely quote, actually. This is one of my favorites. Did you enjoy it? Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Dive deep and swim far, so you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, and with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was part of the transcendental movement in the US in the 19th century. So when people say this stuff's new age, it's really not. It's been going on a long, long time. And there's been various generations and iterations of it. He's really talking about the hero's journey here, actually. Will you dive deep and go on a journey? And the journey is an inner journey. It shall explain and overlook the old. So it's about letting go of the past is inherent in that quote. You're not the slave of your own past. So any thoughts on that?
It was a very influential character, wasn't he, Emerson? I mean, from what I seem to remember, he was a bit of a hermit. And
I think you might be thinking of Thoreau. I don't know exactly because Thoreau, who was kind of his protege, went off and lived in the woods.
was that Thoreau? Right.
I think it was Thoreau. Yeah, I'm not sure Emerson ever did that.
Oh, right.
But he was kind of a leading light in this transcendentalist movement, they called it. So it was a movement of kind of thinkers who were. It was about transcendence, transcendental. That's what they call themselves. Transcending, time and space. So as I said, this stuff's been going on forever. And people say it's new age. No, well, in the 19th century, it was the 1800s. There was a whole group of them in America, and I think then they connected with people like Tolstoy and other people in Europe, because the communication was starting to happen. between the different countries. So he was kind of probably the leading transcendentalist, the head of the movement. And then Thoreau was this kind of protege who went off and lived in the woods. And apparently, I think he got arrested for tax evasion because he wouldn't pay his taxes, Thoreau, because the U.S. government, he thought that their treatment of the Native American Indians was completely barbaric and inhumane. And he said, "I'm not paying taxes to a government that's going to treat these Native American Indians, who were the original population, that way." And so apparently went to jail for tax evasion, which is interesting on principle. So it's just interesting seeing in history these stories of people awakening. Really, I guess they were on their awakening journey, and facing issues of authority and so on. Okay, so there's some stuff there, some recordings if you want to go listen to those. If you missed the Descent into Hell discussion, that's there for you. You can go and that was our in June, part of our June course, so you can go and have a little review of that. So let's get to the lesson then, which is kind of connected to the quote. So my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, which is a good reminder. So do you want to kick it off with paragraph 1, John?
Yeah. This idea is, of course, the reason why you see only the past. No one really sees anything. He sees only his thoughts projected outward. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception about time from which your seeing suffers. Your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. It therefore cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything. Seems a bit of an extreme situation, the next statement.
Cannot, in fact, understand anything.
I mean, if we are in the now, that is the gateway, isn't it, to understanding what is going on?
Yeah, we're saying your mind cannot grasp the present. It's the only time there is. Therefore, cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything. Because if we're in the past continuously, then we're not understanding anything. Because the past is not there. Past is an illusion. Past is over. Past, in fact, never happened. So now your past is dictating your present to create an equally illusory future, and you're on that timeline. And saying that you're actually not understanding anything when you're in this state of mind.
The past is like, when I see the past, it's like I see the idea of separation. So instead of saying the past, I could also say this idea is, of course, the reason why you see only the tiny made idea of separation.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Or guilt. Only see guilt. Because if I see guilt, then something must have happened.
In the past, yeah.
Yeah. If I'm eternal, nothing happened. Like everything God.
So it's all bound up, the past and the future and time, because time really only seems to exist because we have a conception of past and future on a timeline. We think, well, that happened. I have a memory of what happened, and I have an anticipation of what will happen. So that now my mind is not in the present. My mind is on the timeline, and that's all happening only in my mind. These are just thoughts. The present moment, pure formless awareness, simply as it is, arising in my mind, there is no time, because there's no conception of anything having been or anything that will be. There's only that pure present moment awareness. That's where he's trying to take us with this. So he does use these extremities to say, you know, well, you can't understand time, and you cannot in fact understand anything, because we totally, as long as we think that the time is real, time means that we're not in eternity, that this eternal oneness is denied. And then we think that this reality we've created, what we call time space, is real and true. And he's saying, but in fact, you understand nothing, because the entire domain of it is illusory, and you've taken yourself out of the eternal oneness that is the only true reality through this conception of time. And your preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception about time from which your seeing suffers, because you keep thinking about the past. So that keeps the past real, it keeps time real, it keeps the future real, because past then leads to future. And he's saying, actually, we're clueless and we don't understand anything.
And the future is just a repetition of the past.
Yeah. So if we believe in the past, then we take our past thoughts and emotions, which are not true, and we now have them in the present. We experience those now, and we project them into the future. So we go, well, in the past, something happened that wasn't good, something bad happened, and so now I have a fear that the future might be like that or worse. And so now I take the past and I make it into
It will be like that.
And I project it into the future.
That's
I'm
karma, living on
bound up.
karma.
Yeah. Karma is this timeline. It's cause and effect. But karma is mental. It's mental and emotional process. So it's how you perceive these things. Do you perceive your past through the lens of the ego and make it real? Or are you able to not be preoccupied with past thoughts? Let go of those past thoughts and find a present happiness that is independent of the past. And there's no conception of the past then in your mind. And that's what he's trying to help us to do with these lessons. So my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts is making you aware that, yes, I do think a lot about the past. And this is not what I want. And the reason why is because it keeps us on this timeline, and it keeps us really not understanding anything. Okay? Does that make a bit more sense?
Yeah.
Happy with that? Okay, so let's move on to number 2. Sue, if you can read number 2 for us.
The one wholly true thought one can hold about the past is that it is not here. To think about it at all is therefore to think about illusions. Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or in anticipating the future. The mind is actually blank when it does this, because it is not really thinking about anything. That's interesting, isn't it? Because actually when we're thinking about the past or the future, well, for me, my mind is kind of all over the place. I wouldn't say it's blank, but actually what he's saying is it's blank because it's just thinking about illusory thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really thinking about nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
So it's a reframing of thought, profound reframing. I mean, this is pretty radical stuff, because this is what we think most of the time. We think about the past, and we think about the future, and we think this is thought, and we think that our thoughts are important, and they're real, and they have power, and so on. And this reinterpretation, we're saying the mind's actually blank when it does this, because it's not really thinking about anything. Is like, whoa, okay, so I think I'm thinking about these things, and I think they're important, but actually I'm thinking about nothing.
Yeah.
And so what we think of as everything, this domain of thought, and you see how this is bound up with the world we've created, because these thoughts and the world go hand in hand, don't they? What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about the past and the future. I'm thinking about the experiences that I've had in this world. And so my mind is now populated by this hypnotizing illusion of the world that seems to play out in time and space. And we've got so into that we've forgotten that actually this is nothing. We're thinking about nothing. And what's true is actually the just pure formless awareness. That the ego is going to say, oh, well, that's just blankness and that's nothingness and that's really boring. Why would you want that? You know, rather listen to me and think all these thoughts, because this keeps you engaged and entertained, but also in the drama and the pain and the suffering, and that's all good. This is now your reality. And Jesus is just asking us to look again at it, reinterpret the whole domain of thought in that one sentence. He's just reinterpreting the entire construct of egoic thought into nothingness, into actually you're just thinking about nothing. So this is a profound thought reversal. And the extent of what he's asking here is profound. It's going for the very root of the problem, which is in your thinking, saying, well, you need to change this there. Okay, any further thoughts about paragraph 2?
I thought about, I was you reading that, and instead of past, I just put guilt in it, as I replaced past with guilt, and future with having a, like, yeah, future with effects from the idea of guilt.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah, and then I got reminded that there's one lesson. It's just about that there's only one will, and it's God's. So only that only that has So my illusionary thoughts have no. They didn't make separation real. Like they can't cause suffering. I dream of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fundamental fundamental reinterpretation of thought, saying these thoughts do not really mean anything. Lesson number 4, and then he's going to repeat it in lesson number 10. These thoughts do not really mean anything. They're just meaningless thoughts. They have no reality. They have no substance. So why am I even thinking them? What's the point of thinking these illusory thoughts? Do they help me? No, if you're honest about it. They just keep your mind spinning in the dream. Just continuously obsessed about this dream world. And not staying away from pure formless awareness. So the world is the cover. So we projected all of this out. We projected the world so that we would now have a justification for these illusory thoughts. The world is the justification for the thoughts about the past and the future and everything else the ego's invented. And so we must start to look on the world differently, which is why he's focusing on perception in these early parts of the workbook. Looking at your perception, undoing your current perception, because that keeps the thought system going. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So number 3. You can read that, Katie.
Yeah. The purpose of the exercises for today is to begin to train your mind to recognize when it is not really thinking at all. Why thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, the truth is blocked. Recognizing that your mind has been merely blank, rather than believing that it is filled with real ideas, is the first step to opening the way to vision.
So just
sometimes I think when I read this, Jesus is laughing. Jesus is laughing
kind of making fun of our attachment to the ego mind in a way, and just saying, well, this is the start. And it's very humbling. Like a lot of people would have great difficulty with this. Like, what's he saying? No, this can't be right. He's saying all of your thoughts that preoccupy your mind are really nothing. Your mind's merely been blank. So everything that you've thought in your life and that you valued so much, and we put so much time and energy into these thoughts we think are true. It creates our entire life. Our thoughts, life comes from our thought. So we think. Descartes expressed this as I think, therefore I am, which is not true. It's more like I am, and therefore I can think, because I have awareness, and then that awareness can now think. But now, what way am I using that awareness? Am I misusing it to think all these distorted, pointless thoughts that just enslave me into an illusion? Or am I going to use my mind to free myself? You need to train your mind to recognize when it's not really thinking at all. So the idea that ideas are really thoughtless ideas. Okay, so it's an idea, it's a thought, but it's not really a thought. So it's thoughtless. And that blocks the truth. So these are, it's profound stuff, this. You think about what he's asking you to do in your mind. It's a revolution in your thinking. And just from this one lesson, just applying this one lesson will do that. Okay, so any thoughts on that, or it's all clear? Shall we go into some practice? I'll guide you through this. Just a short exercise, so we can do a meditation. I'll guide you through it.
Yes, please.
You want to make yourself comfortable. Sitting feet shoulder width apart, or you can stand if you want, John. Just okay, so making yourself comfortable, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes and just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Drawing the life energy up the spine, clenching your sphincter muscle. So you lock that energy in, feel a warm wave of energy rising up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand in your heart, just to connect in with your heart space. And draw the energy up into the crown of your head, pausing at the top of the inhale. And just check in there and scan your mind for a few moments, just noticing any thoughts that are going on. No matter how vividly you may picture a thought, you're not really seeing anything. So just in a very calm, detached way, search your mind and just note the thoughts you find there. Name each one by the central figure or theme it contains. So you can say, I seem to be thinking about whatever or whoever. Just breathe in again. Create some space with the breath, some light, some awareness. I seem to be thinking about whoever or whatever. And as you notice these thoughts, you're just going to let them go with the statement that my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. And so you exhale out through the mouth and just have a sense of releasing with the breath. these past thoughts. Roll the stomach into the spine. Spell the last remaining air out. And you just rest here for a few moments. In peace and stillness, there's the peace that arises when you let go of your thoughts. And then breathe in again. Nice deep breath in. Noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Tensing the sphincter muscle, locking the energy in. Maybe you feel a warm tingling thread up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. Filling up your lungs completely to the upper chest. Feeling you drawing this energy up into the head. And again, just scan your mind in this gap between breaths. It's a great opportunity to do some mind training. So again, notice any thoughts, whatever those thoughts are. Say, I seem to be thinking about name of a person, or about name of an object, or name of an emotion. Just notice whatever's arising for you. Breathe into it, create some space, some awareness around the thought. That's the first step in letting it go. Secondly, just use the statement that my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. To be honest, these thoughts are generally about the past. Even if you're seeing presently, you're interpreting the present situation from the past. And is it even really present if it's not happening right now? Even if it happened today, a few minutes ago, it's still not now. So notice that I'm just thinking about the past. My mind is preoccupied always with past thoughts. And that is a statement of truth. So I exhale. Imagine you just blowing away the past, these past thoughts like dark clouds. Just leaving you, they're gone into the nothingness that they really are. Just blowing them away. And finding a peace and a stillness. Come when you let go of thoughts. And these pointless thoughts, thoughtless ideas, preoccupying your mind, which blocks the truth, as Jesus says. So now you're opening up to this truth, to this pure formless awareness. Just letting it arise in your mind, breathing in and out through your nose. Just focusing your attention on the breath. There's the stomach rising and the chest rising. A subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause briefly at the top of the inhale. Smile. This openness, this spacious awareness arises in your mind. And then you exhale. And you just let it go. Exhaling out, releasing. So nothingness really is, and in that nothingness is fullness. This is true reality. This is where love and peace and joy abide eternally, forever, where the very presence of your source lies in the emptiness and the stillness. So why would you resist that? When all peace and love and joy and happiness lies there for you. Nowhere outside of you, only within. And so just keep watching your breath, observing subtle sensations of the breath in your nostrils, flowing into the nostrils. Notice the touch of the breath in the bottom of the nose, the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. When you exhale, notice the touch of the breath, the area just below your nose as you exhale. And just by observing the breath, you bring your mind into the present moment, where there is no past, there's no future, there's only what's right here now in your awareness, just breathing. And a deeper awareness, your own true nature, your pure formless awareness will tend to arise. And just allow that awareness to arise, going deeper and deeper into it with each breath. Mind yourself there's really nowhere else to go and there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Let the breath take you into the stillness and the peace of God. It's been called, it passes all understanding. Let it take you there completely into the present moment, just a present experience. There's no past. Any thoughts arise, remind yourself that seem to be thinking about whoever or whatever, but actually my mind is just preoccupied with past thoughts. And then you let go of the breath and just blow away the thought. Blow it all away with the breeze of your breath and sink into the clear blue sky of your true awareness. Let the light of that source of that awareness shine through your mind. And just be in this pure formless awareness in the present moment. Just aware of your own awareness in the present moment for the next few minutes of deep silence. if you have any thoughts arising, just observe those using this exercise. I seem to be thinking about whoever it is, whatever it is. Name the thought. And remind yourself that really my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. This is a past thought. Therefore, it is not true or real. It has no substance, just an invention of my egoic mind. So let it go with the breath. Exhale, just release to the nothingness. It really is. You just blow these thoughts away. Like clouds, just shifting and changing. They're always shifting and changing. The cloud patterns are not real because they are not permanent. They come and they go, and they shift and they change. They are not real. So why would you want to hold on to them? Why would you want to preoccupy your mind with these thoughts about nothing? And so blow them away with the breeze of your breath and sink in for another couple of minutes of deep silence. Just watch your breath and sink into the peace that passes all understanding, the peace of the present moment in which there are no thoughts of past or future. Just an awareness of your own true awareness, your own pure formless awareness that's arising in your mind. And if you allow it, then you will experience naturally a deep sense of peace, happiness, joy, love, everything you really want lies there. So give yourself a gift of this experience of coming into the eternal now moment for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. And so just coming back gently into awareness of the body, the breath and the senses, and the world, doing it from this very present state. So you're just going to observe sensations of your breath and the body without interpretation or judgment. Just be aware of them. So you bring yourself back, but in this very present state. Interpretation and judgment lie in the past. We interpret our present experiences from the past. Which is why in the previous lessons Jesus said, I see only the past. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Noticing the thoughts, what's going on in your mind. Scan your mind. And any thoughts that you notice, apply today's idea one more time. Today's mind training exercise. And I seem to be thinking about whatever it is or whoever it is. Just observe it in a very casual, detached way, as though it's a cloud pattern. Just blowing away. So you exhale, release it. Breeze of your breath. To the nothingness that it really is. And remind yourself that your mind is just preoccupied with past thoughts. These thoughts are past thoughts, they have no substance or meaning. You can let them go. So notice as you exhale, the air flows out of your mouth, chest and your stomach suck back in. Feel the energy subside back down from the crown of your head, down the front channel of your body. Coming to rest in your lower stomach and your groin. Just resting here in peace and stillness in the gap between breaths. Notice this peace that arises. And so the count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice you touching and feeling your hands. Breathe in again. Notice any smell in your nose, any taste in your mouth. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state. Without interpretation, without judgment, your mind must be in the present moment. It's the interpretation and judgment to reference the past, and then we're just preoccupied with past thoughts, as Jesus says in this lesson. But we can change that. We can choose to let these thoughts go and find an empty, open, spacious awareness beyond judgment, beyond interpretation, where your true, pure, formless awareness lies, just radiant in your mind. So as you come back, you listen to the sights of this busy, crazy world and see the sounds, you stay rooted in this awareness, just pure, formless awareness, without interpretation or judgment. And if you can stay in that, you can only be happy. Because only happiness is the underlying state. from this. And so on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, noticing whatever's around you in a very casual, detached way. And notice if any thoughts arise. So again, apply the idea. I seem to be thinking about whoever or whatever. If any thoughts arise, and just apply the idea that my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. To let it go as you exhale. And notice the clarity. There's a lightness, clarity, openness, spacious awareness in your mind that feels good. It feels peaceful, it feels happy, feel connected, loving. So notice the state, anchor the state in for the rest of the afternoon. So as we go, continue on with the session, just keep some awareness on your breathing. And notice that there's this present awareness. It's beyond thought, just there in the background. Even as we engage the ideas, there's this pure formless awareness just sitting there in your mind. It's very peaceful, calming presence. And everything's actually happening within that field of presence. And this is the way that you can be in the world, but not of the world. Not allow past thoughts to preoccupy you pointlessly. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the meditation. So if anyone needs to go, but otherwise we'll have a little dive into, let's have a little look now at today's reading from the 9th pathway. So there's a bit to read here. Okay, so everyone's still there. Ask Sue and John to unmute.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, you're present. That's good. Okay, so the 9th pathway. Let's have a little read of that. Some discussion. Just to give you context, this is the last of these 3 pathways, which are all about relationships, how you deal with people. So, idea of flowing with it rather than manipulation. It's the way of higher consciousness. So flowing just means moving with the forces around us, being in tune with vibrations of the people and things in our environment. Flowing enables us to find the love, beauty, and peace that we're missing in our lives. So retranslated, flowing really means miracle-minded. You're miracle-minded, you're correcting your perception all the time, and you're not allowing your mind to go into separation and creating all kinds of dramas for yourself. So pathways, 7th pathway was, John, do you want to read that? Just do a little recap. Just the bits in bold.
I open myself genuinely to all people by being willing to fully communicate my deepest feelings, since hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusion of separateness from other people.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think it's a real gate opener to share one's and communicate one's deepest feelings. Opens us to our brothers and to ourselves.
And we stop hiding. I think that's the key. It's not having to be authentic and real. Hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusion of separateness. So that's how the ego likes to keep it. And then number 8, Katie, if you want to read that. Katie, you still there?
I can.
You can read the 8th pathway. Okay, I don't know what's happening. Maybe our internet's problematic.
To see. Now I see it.
Yes, 8th pathway. Yeah, I
I
feel with
feel-
loving compassion. That one.
I feel with loving compassion the problems of others without getting caught up emotionally in their predicaments, that are offering them messages they need for their growth. Do you want me to read everything?
No, just that, because we're going to do the 9th pathway. Just to
Okay.
give you some context, because it kind of leads into the 9th pathway.
Mm.
So, any thoughts on that?
I got reminded on how I deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Which
can
is?
share it. Yeah. So it's like one of my friends, he's telling me what's bothering him, and then I call a Course in Miracles student to help me to forgive that, because I'm so because I need a solution for that now.
Mm.
and I'm writing him what I saw, and then he often said me, Katie, just relax. It's not a problem.
Mm. Mm.
Sometimes people just make something out of nothing, and it's
Mm.
like he's teaching me the course. He's doing that.
Mm.
Um, and I got reminded when I'm doing Vipassana, since that I'm doing that, I feel like I'm less attached to looking for solutions when people tell me about their problems,
Mm.
because I start to buy less into my problems.
Mm. You
And
don't get caught up emotionally.
yeah, I think I got this helper syndrome because I felt so helpless myself with me.
Mm. Mm.
And I'm feeling less helpless with me. It's starting to change.
Mm.
And I'm less, yeah, I think I can be now, I can be in the future more truly helpful instead of trying to be helpful.
Mm. Yeah, so it's a pattern. Trying to save other people or rescue other people isn't necessarily what is most
Mm.
helpful
Yeah.
for them or you. And, you think, you say, oh, well, I'm trying to help this person. I was
Yeah,
having a
try.
conversation the other day, and I was saying, no, but I'm really trying to help her.
Yeah.
And like, no, because I really, and it's like, okay, but you're just playing it's a pattern, it's playing out that pattern, and actually feeding the other person's story. So every victim needs a persecutor, number one, because they need someone to tell them that they're the victim and give them an excuse to continue their victimhood. And they also need a savior or rescuer who's going to come and rescue them. And so then they attract people who want to play that role.
That's a drama triangle.
Yeah, exactly. Victim, persecutor, and savior, or rescuer is a classic triangle, and these patterns, show up repeatedly in human life and behavior. So then you've got to look at it and say, well, is that actually of the spirit? Is anything actually constructive happening there through that drama triangle, or is it just more pointless thought and emotion, just to get everyone convinced that they really are separate, that these identities, these characters they're playing, are really true? That's what the ego is trying to tell them. No, you really are the victim. You are the persecutor. You are the rescuer. Now you identify with that role, and of course, pure formless awareness is covered over. Whereas love or pure formless awareness simply doesn't play those games. So you stay clear and calm and present emotionally, and then you say, we had a prayer in yesterday's session. There's a prayer to be truly helpful. Can I be truly helpful in this situation? Let me just bring it up. It's certainly worth. We'll actually maybe end off the session on that. on this note because it's a lovely prayer, cause and effect. Okay, so let's open that. And this was in the Special Principles of Miracle Workers, in the Function of the Miracle Worker, section 5A. So it's the last little bit. If you want to read that, Katie.
I can read it.
Paragraph 8.
You can do much on behalf of your own healing and that of others if, in a situation calling for help, you think of it this way. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I'm content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. And it reminds me of the chapter 5, healing and wholeness. Healing is to be joyful, or some healing is to make happy. I think that's what I remember. So it's not about I need to rescue him. I need to suffer like Titanic, like the last scene on Titanic. Here, where the man was letting the woman go.
Yeah, not getting attached in any way, and
More drama.
Being truly helpful sometimes means you just simply hold a space. You're peaceful and you calm yourself, and that presence can help that person if you're in a conversation with them. Doesn't necessarily mean you got to fix everything on the level of form, because that's what the ego in the rescue mode is trying to do. Oh, someone's got a problem. Oh, I'll run in and I'll try and fix it for them. But in truth, they've got to fix it themselves. They just need to be reminded who they are and about these principles. And so if you stay in your presence and who you really are, then you can be truly helpful because you remind them of their presence.
And it's a projection I project on, like I'm using them to make the story real that I need to do something and can trust on guidance, and that this dream is real.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I use them. My brothers then.
Yeah. So then it's just being used by the ego to perpetuate its thought system rather than for freedom and enlightenment. So that brings us to the 9th pathway. Is Sue still with us? With just John? John is kind of on. Come back.
I'm here.
You're here. You're present.
I've come back.
Just having an inner moment there.
I know. I heard this distant voice saying John. I thought, oh, who is that?
The Holy Spirit calling you out of the dream. Okay. So you want to read number 9, the 9th pathway?
Yep. I act freely when I am tuned in, centered and loving, but if possible, I avoid acting when I am emotionally upset and depriving myself of the wisdom that flows from love and expanded consciousness.
Okay. So any thoughts about that?
Well, I enjoyed the meditation, those moments just of nothingness, of not thinking. And those are moments of being centered and tuned in, I think.
And that's really the value of meditation, that you can connect with that presence quite deeply without distraction, and then carry it with you into your day.
Yeah.
So even while you come back into some kind of thought, that presence is there, and instead of getting so turbulated by things, that presence is kind of the underlying awareness, which stays with you. So that's the huge benefit of meditation. If you do meditation, then you do start to carry that with you in your day, and you're able to handle situations much better. Okay, and then so possible avoid acting when I'm emotionally upset and depriving myself of the wisdom that flows from love and expanded consciousness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's about being aware of when we're going out of that centered, loving state, when we're getting mentally and emotionally turbulated, and then to have the presence of mind, the awareness to avoid acting. Say, okay, well, don't say something yet, don't do something yet, just pause, and try and correct this inturbulation. Let go of the upset first before you do anything. Because if you react from that disturbed place, then what you're going to say and what you're going to do is not going to be helpful for you or the other person. So this is a good reminder, and it seems to contradict this one, which he'll talk about. So I open myself genuinely to all people by being willing to fully communicate my deepest feelings, since hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusion of separateness from other people. And then you have this, well, actually avoid acting. So I can take a time out and I can withdraw when I'm emotionally upset. So it's kind of a seeming contradiction, but he'll discuss that. It's really not. It's just timing. This is about timing. You know, when do you connect and share, and when is it time just to pause so that you can get yourself into the right state and then share from that state.
Yeah.
Okay, so Katie, if you want to read the next paragraph, please.
Yes. To avoid adding,
No, this one. When you're emotionally upset.
when you're emotionally upset, you energize the addictive patterns of other people who are also caught in the lower levels of consciousness. Bad vibrations like the measles are contagious. Every time you act with anger, resentment, or fear, you add a little reinforcement to the addictions from which we all wish to be liberated. You know the story of the man who yelled at his friend. The friend then went home and fought with his wife, who spanked their child, who then kicked the cat.
Yeah.
It's like domino
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah. Yeah. So and you know that is how it works. You know, this fear and conflict and anger are contagious. They want to, it's like a virus. It wants to then spread. And what we've got to say is the buck stops here, and the buck stops with me. I'm not going to allow this, even if someone's behaving badly. These bad vibrations are, simply not real. I can let go of them as I become aware of them. So then he says to avoid adding to the sum total of bad vibrations in the world, bad energy, basically, ego. Unless you're in immediate physical danger, wait until you're tuned in, centered, and loving before you act. When you give yourself this time to contemplate your perceptions and course of action, wisdom may lead you to choose a more effective course of action. So saying we have this, ability to just pause between stimulus and response. We can pause, and in that gap, we can now find some wisdom, and we can make a different decision. And that's really the essence of good decision making, is being able to pause and not react impulsively to whatever's arising. So pause, give yourself some time, do a meditation, do a breath break, use the lesson for the day to help you to let it go. And then from that place of being tuned in, centered, and loving, then you go, okay, well, what should I do? And then often, almost certainly, the idea is going to be different. You're going to have a different idea. And sometimes you just need to sit with it for a day or two, depending on what the situation is. Don't act straight away, just sit with it, and then something will come. if you've really let it go and you've asked for guidance, then something comes the most unexpected moments. You might get guidance. I remember that situation where I had to deal with the money of the lawyer. I think I shared it with you, and it just came when I was making a salad. Actually, I wasn't in meditation or anything. I'm just chopping vegetables, and then suddenly it's like, oh, idea just pops in, and but it was because I'd done some meditation on it, and I'd let it go, and I'd asked for guidance, and then it comes in, and then okay, now I can act. Before that, I would have been acting in the wrong state of mind. So it was worth pausing. Okay. So any questions on that? I think fairly straightforward. And then he goes into this apparent contradiction between the 7th and the 9th pathway. I don't know what's happened to John. John, are you still there?
Why is always John?
Well, it's his turn.
I am still here.
You're still there. Okay. You can read the next paragraph, the 7th pathway and the 9th pathway. Puts you in an interesting predicament.
Okay. So I just had to tend to the fire, actually. Are we? Oh, okay. The 7th pathway and the 9th pathway puts you in an interesting predicament. The 7th pathway says to communicate your deepest feelings, and the 9th pathway says for you to withhold your communication, if possible, until you are perceptive, centered, and loving. What this means is that you are always ready to be completely open and to communicate with people. But if you are caught up in the grip of a disturbing emotion, you give yourself a little time to work on your addiction rather than acting out the fight or flight feeling you have triggered immediately. So all that is what we've been just saying. Should I continue?
No, we'll let Katie read the last one. Just any thoughts on that paragraph?
No, I think that's what we've been saying.
Well, just have the presence of mind to stop, pause, and do something. So a meditation or a breath break, practicing a workbook lesson to help you to let it go, to bring you into the right state of mind so that you can then communicate in a loving way. And so this is about mental and emotional state management. That's the primary thing here. You need to manage your state, make sure you're in the right state before you think or act. Because if you before you act or you speak, because if you do act or speak from a place of being unloving, well, we know the consequences of that. You can say something and it's hurtful, and sometimes you can say one or two things. One thing can ruin a friendship. It's extraordinary just how that can happen. So it's just about being very vigilant of your own mental and emotional state, really tuned in to noticing your emotions. And this is what the meditation helps you with. So if you're doing the meditations, you're doing the breath breaks, I'm sending you the body scanning, the breath watching. It's all about tuning in. So, okay, so what's my state? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? So I'm aware. Because if I'm not aware of my thoughts and feelings, then I won't be able to apply this 9th pathway because there's not enough awareness. So it's about building that awareness. And then from that awareness, naturally, you'll tend to have more of a gap between stimulus and response. And you'll be able to just pause and get yourself in the right state because you'll have the tools, and then you respond. And that might be a few minutes or maybe a few hours or maybe even a day or two later. So it's just giving yourself the time to get into the right state to then be able to apply the 7th pathway. There's no real contradiction. It's just a timing issue. Okay. So Katie, if you can read the next paragraph for us, last one.
I can. A part of your growth into higher consciousness will be associated with how perceptively you handle these two pathways. You can use the 9th pathway to hide. You can use it to delay your responses to people, long enough to give the other pathways an opportunity to rescue you from the negative emotions you have triggered. Always remember that you cannot put off for long your making an upfront communication of your deepest feelings if you wish to be conscious, perceptive, and loving. Suppressed feelings act like a cancer in your brain that malignantly spreads, warping your perceptions and bringing you alienation and suffering. You thus learn to use the seventh and ninth pathways to create more and more aliveness and beauty in all your relationship with other people.
Okay.
What stands out?
Sorry.
What stands out to you, Katie?
What does?
I just wonder if I understand it right. Always remember that you cannot put off for long you're making an upfront communication. Does that mean I should look that I not procrastinate?
Yeah, so make sure that you're not delaying it unduly because you hide it. This is the ego keeps panic and say, oh no, but the ninth pathway means, I've got to pause between, I've got to get myself in the right state, and well, that's going to take me a while. So
going to a cave. I rented a cave for that thing. Just because I love you so much.
So he's saying you can't put it off for too long. We're talking about hours or maybe a day, but not a week, because otherwise you hide it.
Not a week.
Well, like, how long does it take you to process it? But if you're really aware and conscious, it shouldn't take you, more than a few hours.
That's right.
To process. Just okay, I can get myself into a better state. Once you get good at it, you can do it in a few minutes. Just do a quick breath break, use a course lesson, and shift your state. And then when you're feeling like, okay, I'm feeling better about this, I'm feeling more centered, more calm, I'm seeing this, from a higher perspective. I've kind of zoomed out. We talked about the zooming in and zooming out of meditation. I've zoomed out of it a bit, and there's more emotional detachment. I'm more equanimous. Okay, well, maybe now I engage with my friend or my partner or whoever, and I'll have that conversation, or I'll send that email or that text or whatever, because I'm now feeling like, and now I sit down to write the email or having the conversation, and I'm in a different state, and I'm gonna write something different. I'm gonna say something different.
Yeah,
so
it is
a good tip in business, especially, is if there's some difficult situation and you're communicating via email, it's very tempting to just react and shoot off an email. And then it's a reactive email. So just pause. You might compose it first, write that, and then put it in drafts and just leave it. Go, okay, I'm just going to work on something else, so I'm going to go away. And then you come back to it a few hours later or a day later, and you're like, okay, so maybe I should change this. Maybe the tone of it is, you read it again and you notice the tone is not necessarily loving and calm and peaceful. And so then you change it. And it's because you've given yourself the time before you sent it just to pause. And that's the nice thing with email and text messages and so on, is you can do that quite easily, because it's like, we'll just don't type anything. But conversations can be harder, because you can be in the heat of a conversation with someone, and then it's like, okay, just back off. So you might need to say, okay, well, let's take a time out. You say to the person, okay, just let's pause it here. And it's useful if you have agreements that you put in place where you say, yes, we agree that we can take a time out. That's one of our kind of relationship agreements, if you like, that governs our relationship. Yes, any partner at any point can call a timeout and say, okay, enough, I need some time here, and the other partner needs to respect that. So yes, okay, I give you some time. Let's talk about it tonight, or let's talk about it tomorrow. And then you agree, okay, yes, we will come back to this, but just give you some time. And so that's quite helpful if you have that agreement, because then when conflict happens, you call on that agreement and you say, well, look, we agreed that we would give each other time. So I'm calling a timeout here. I need some time to process this. And so that would be a conscious relationship where a couple have done that and said, okay, let's have this timeout rule where we can either of us can do this to be able to apply these 7th and 9th pathways with discernment. So yeah, some interesting stuff here in relationships. I think this is very helpful to the practicality of, the course talks about the holy relationship. Then, okay, so how does that actually look in practice? It can be quite an abstract theoretical concept unless you know how to apply it. So these are some practical ideas, how you can actually engage in a holy relationship with someone and make it work. Okay, so that's the 9th pathway done. Any thoughts on that overall? Or on this section, 9th pathway, 7th pathway, what they're saying? Any questions or comments?
I need to go in 20 minutes.
Yes, yeah, well, we're pretty much done. So I'll just guide you through a 2-minute closing med, if you like, which will guide
Okay.
you through this section, this prayer, to be truly helpful. It's a nice way to close it out.
I think John wants to say something.
No,
He said
no,
something.
I'm fine, Katie. Thanks.
You're fine.
Okay.
All right, so just close your eyes. We'll just close it out with this little helpfulness prayer, which is really nice. So take a nice deep breath in. Breathing in, just breathe in this presence of the present moment. And the present moment is eternal love, source of all being. And you can connect to it right now. So breathe it in to every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle. It's in the light, and say this to yourself. Repeat after me as I say these words. Particularly if there's a situation calling for help, that someone seems to be in some distress, emotional, mental, physical, financial distress, whatever it is. Just bring that situation to mind, breathe into it, create some space around it, and say to yourself, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. This remembrance of oneness, the Holy Spirit that sent me. Let me remember only this in this situation. So I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do. Because he who sent me, this presence of love, will direct me. Will direct me in all my thoughts and my words and my actions. And so I'm content to be wherever this presence wishes me to be, knowing that it goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him or it teach me to heal. And then as you exhale, a sense of releasing, just letting go of any attachment, blowing it all away. It's the breeze of your breath. And finding a peace and a stillness comes when you just let go of the past. Remind yourself that the mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, but you can let these go and find a present state of connection with your source, in which you can be truly helpful to yourself and your brothers. So feel that state, feel that energy, connect with it, anchor it in by noticing it, breathe it in. So it's infusing every cell, every muscle, your body, every corner of your mind, this loving presence. And just set the intention to stay there for the rest of the afternoon or into the evening until our next session this evening or tomorrow. So it is said, and so it is done. And then open your eyes and continue on with your day in this very connected, loving, and expanded state. And I hope to see you a little bit later.